IGBC as a personal message from him to our HOD sir. He mentioned that to share this message on this inauguration section function, I would like to read the message of him. I'm indeed glad that the ATI Institute of Technology is launching the IGBC students chapter in the campus. My hearty greetings and best wishes for the launch. Igniting young minds on sustainable development initiatives in building environment is a major national agenda after 193 countries, including India, have anonymously signed the Sustainable Development Goals to the year 2030 in United Nations in September 2015. Within a year, India took the lead to introduce the new Part 11 approach to sustainability in National Building Code of India 2016, the first building code globally to do so. All concerns of integrated water management, integrated energy management, and integrated waste management, carbon footprint reduction, greening the land, and use all nature and man-made resources optimally and efficiently was the call given. The green building movement started by IGBC 2 decades back embraced the above tenets fully to use the five Panjabhutas of land, water, energy, air, sky rightly in the design of buildings and built environment. Today, IGBC has been instrumental in supporting nearly 6,000 projects with 7.55 billion of green footprint for buildings of all asset classes through 26 rating systems for all categories of buildings and built environment covering campus, townships and cities and urban mobility needs for metros, railway stations and airports. The fact that these buildings save from 25 to 30% water and 35 to 40% energy and carbon footprint and 100% waste management shows the ecological and environmental impact being made. The green building movement has taken deep roots and over 93% of national green building footprint is covered by IGBC. Over 30,000 professional staff, architects, engineers, MEPF specialists, green building consultants, builders, developers are now actively involved. Opening up of IGBC chapter provide a window of opportunity to faculty and young students of Adria Institute of Technology to get exposure on salient aspects of green building design and execution. Though not directly covered in curriculum or syllabus, the activities under students chapter will help them get access to green attributes of design. The faculties and students also get opportunity to become IGBC accredited professional, which equips them to deal with green building practice. The IGBC team will extend and support with material inputs for enhancing knowledge. I would like to thank Dr. K.V. Narayanaswamy, Principal, and Dr. Ajay Surendra, HOD of Civil Engineering, and Engineer Ashok Kumar of Prayojana to facilitate this launch. I am glad out Worthy Chairman of IGBC Bengaluru chapter, Shed Bieri ji, is providing leadership and Sri Rekha Maulati of IGBC would be linked in IGBC Hyderabad. I wish the young budding professionals of AIT all the very best to take the full advantage of the IGBC students chapter to make them IGBC green warriors to take the movement forward. By 2022, India at 75 IGBC visions to be number one in world with 10 billion of green footprint, and each one of you will be active professionals in this moment. I'm glad this is the 251st IGBC student chapter. Thank you all. This was the message we received from the Suresh Sir, Chairman of IGBC.
Nathan?
Yeah, thank you. Now, we'd like to call upon.
What's happening?
Hello. Yeah. Sheikh Mohammad Bieri, Sir, Chairman of IGBC Bangalore and CMD Bieri's Group, born and raised in picturesque village in coastal Karnataka. He has in him an inherent and deep sense of nature. Among many sterlium platinum rated buildings, his group has stand the world's first IGBC platinum rated elegant creation on the shores of the Arabian Sea north of Mangalore. He continues a legacy that goes back to early 1900s of his forefathers in imparting education for the poor in rural areas with 20 plus institutions including schools and colleges of engineering and architectures. The Peary Group is developing several data centers, lab space, R&D parks, and campus developments in Mumbai, Chennai, Hyderabad, and Bangalore on design build deliver model. His larger dream is to make India fully literate, housing, affordable, and above all, build India truly green. He is the chairman of Beeries Group and managing trustee Beeries Education. Now, we would like to call upon the Beeries sir, chairman of IGBC Bangalore chapter, to give the keynote address. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Dr. Narayan Swami, Dr. Surendra, Mr. Naga Subramanian, our own Ashok Kumar, Rekha, all the management members, all the faculty members, and more importantly, the students. Greetings from Indian Green Building Council. It is a great honor and pleasure to be here on this virtual conference. Friends, Indian Green Building Council movement, if you understand clearly, post-independence, I don't think any movement has taken place in such a manner. What was started in 2001, just with the 20,000 square foot of green footprint, today we have reached 7.5 billion square foot of green footprint. And Indian Green Building Council, which is a founding member of the World Green Building Council, in the world scenario, we are only next to USA. So that is a great, pride moment for us. Green is something, integrated in the Indian value system. It is not that green we need to learn now. Green is there in our ethos, in our values. And the best green building, if you want to see, it is all in India way back, 500, 600, 1,000 years back. Our temple in Tanjavur, the Hawa Mahal in Rajasthan, the Taj Mahal in Agra. These are the epitome of green building architecture. What happened in between? The greed and pride has taken over. In the bargain, that has damaged the entire ecosystem. And that is where Confederation of Indian Industry has launched the Indian Green Building Council as one of the center of excellence, and that is how we got the birth of Indian Green Building Council. We started the first student chapter way back in 2008. Because our erstwhile chairman, Dr. Premji Jain, he used to always emphasize on students. They said that catch them young because they are our leader. They are our future. So if they understand and understand the essence of green and sustainability, that is going to go a long way in taking India to the next level. So that is how in 2008, Bangalore chapter of IGBC started the student chapter in J.R. Tata Auditorium, in Indian Institute of Science. That time, nearly 1,000 students have come from across Karnataka. That is how the beginning started. Today, by the grace of God, we have 254, and today with yours, it is 255 student chapter across India. We have student chapter in IIT, we have student chapter in NIT, and we have student chapter in most of the premium institute and all the budding institute also. What I need to emphasize here, for the students, what I notice generally, and I always tell about this, that it is, when it comes to the green building, people generally think that it is the civil engineering department's headache or their responsibility. Sorry, my friend. It is not, civil department's, responsibility alone. Because why I'm mentioning this, if you are Atria IT, that is AIT, we are BIT, Berries Institute of Technology. So we are also running an institution, engineering college in Mangalore. So, I am also emphasizing with our student, and I always emphasize every, department, whether it is civil engineering, environment engineering, mechanical engineering, even electronic and communication or computer science engineering. It is a interdiscipline kind of an effort. And we have seen the people who are nothing to do with the green, once they come to know about the green, because green is a sentimental aspect. So, green is an emotional aspect. The moment they realize that, they totally shifted from their chosen department, and they continue to be there, but then their heart is into green. They want to contribute their best in the green development. So my request to the ATRIA, especially to the coordinator, Mr. Nagasubramaniam, that please get all other discipline students and faculty member also into this student chapter, and collectively we need to do the work. And so that is one important thing I felt I must inform you. And for ultimately it is seeing is believing, because many people think that what is green, they couldn't able to they couldn't understand the essence of green, how it is being done, and what is the formula, and how to make a building sustainable. So for which God has given us an opportunity to build one project called Barry's Global Research Triangle. This is in Whitefield. It's a over 1 million square foot of a large campus. When we built this, got the first India in India. It was the first LEED Platinum certified R&D park. So once the pandemic is eased out, I request ATRIA students and the faculty member to visit our BGRT. By one visit, you will have a complete understanding about the green building and how it works, and what is the inherent benefit, what is the tangible benefit, and what is the intangible benefit too. So in that, I request Ashok, our own Ashok. He's been a great, he's basically a man Friday when it comes to the student chapter. Thanks to him, recent past, in last 2 years, we have launched more than 30 student chapter in Bangalore. Incidentally, all India level, we have 255 student chapter today. In that, almost 60 plus student chapter are in Karnataka, which is the highest in India. And again, more than 40 student chapter is in Bangalore, which is again highest in any metropolitan or state capital. So that is a good news. I would like to share with you. And then the students must realize that this is where it is not only you are doing. First of all, we must realize we are not doing any favor to the Mother Earth. We are essentially doing whatever little is possible from our end for the damage what we have done and what our forefathers have done. That is the unfortunate thing. So, and then this world is not taken from by the forefather. We have borrowed it from our future children, so future generation. So it is our bonded duty to see what best we can do. And then green should not become a kind of a fashion statement. It should become a passion statement. We should involve passionately in every day-to-day of our life. Even to the small thing, like for example, you go to you move out from your room or home, ensure that the fan is off. Fan is switched off, light is switched off. When you open the tap, don't open the tap fully. You open how much, whatever the water you require, to that extent, you open it. These are the small things will work a great deal in future. And to make, whatever we are doing this, to make it in a practical way, that is what Dr. Narayan Swami has mentioned, that it is not starting the chapter is important, how we are going to continue it. So for that, you have a fantastic opportunity now. That is, every 4th week of every year, World Green Building Council week we are celebrating. So it is a 1 week of celebration. So in this celebration, if your institution can work out something, maybe planting of the sapling, or there are many ways and means we could contribute on that, it will be a great starter. That is one aspect. Number two, for the students especially, because in today's dynamic world, merely the engineering certificate will not suffice, for your job prospect. That is where IGBC is coming to play an important role. We are having AP Associates. By virtue of AP Associates, it's a online, classes. Once you have that certificate, that will give a one notch high. When you go to meet the face the interview. So all in all, I would like to say that the green building movement and IGBC, part of the CII, our endeavor is it should not become, a just elite members movement or some meeting and greeting, and then it should not be like that. We want this to be a people movement. We want every student, because once we have one student in this fold, the entire their family member will come into this fold, and then that will have an effect to their family member, their relatives, their neighbors, their friend circle. That is a manifold effect. So ultimately, I wish you all the very best for ATI Institute of Technology for taking this, initiative. This is really going to do a great deal, for your student. And I think you need to start from your own campus. You have a large campus. That is where you can start and inculcate this habit of, caring and taking care of, taking care for the environment. Is a part of our DNA. And because ultimately it is an individual commitment, collaborative effort, and collective leadership that makes IGBC where it is today. So thank you very much, and God bless. Good luck. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your motivational words. Now it is our time to have the virtual launch of IGBC Students Chapter at Atria. Thank you. Now, I would like to call upon our Professor Kritika Sharma to give an introduction about Rekha Malti ma'am.
Thank you, sir. It's my pleasure to introduce our next speaker, Sri Rekha Maulati ma'am. Sri Rekha ma'am holds a bachelor's degree in architecture from Jawaharlal Nehru Technology University, Hyderabad. During academics, she had experience of part-time job as an assistant architect in various organizations, and also had an experience of working in a conservation project of British residency in Hyderabad. She started her career in 2007 in an architectural MNC before shifting to the field of green buildings. Presently, she is involved with the green building activities of CII Godrej GBC. She is in charge of IGBC Green Schools, Healthcare, and Landscape Rating System certification activities, and leads the team with engineers. She is involved in development of various green building rating systems and certification. Also, she is handling green education activities of IGBC. She is an IGBC accredited professional, trained green building faculty and assessor and environmentalist. She has been associated with the CII IGBC since 2008. Now, I would like to call upon Rekha ma'am for presenting on green building concepts and IGBC's green education program.
Thank you. Thank you for that brief introduction. And I'm happy to be part of this student chapter launch. Firstly, I would like to congratulate all the members of this college, and also my warm thanks to Dr. K.V. Narayanaswamy, the principal, Dr. H.N. Nagendra, the HOD of the Civil Engineering Department, and also Ashok Kumar, who has been coordinating for the student chapter, and our beloved chairman, Mr. Syed Beri. Also, thank you for being here, sir, and for your inspirational words. And I would like to also take this opportunity to, okay, just a minute. I'm trying to share my screen. Is my presentation visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for that. So, yes, we are having the 250 plus student chapters, and today another student chapter at the Atria Institute of Technology. We are having launch, and we are glad to be part of. And also, we invite all of you to be part of this green building movement. Of course, the coordinators have been very helpful, and they've already given the message of our chairman, Mr. V. Suresh. He has welcomed you all, and he's very glad to have this student chapter launch on today for the chapter launch. So I'll go further without taking much further time. This is would be the my agenda of today's presentation. So what is green building? We would be talking about, as we are introducing you today. Of course, many of you are aware, and nowadays the colleges and many boards have inculcated as part of curriculum itself how sustainability is important. Uh, we want to just emphasize on what we mean by green building from being the council. And of course, about the green building movement, our chairman, Mr. Syed Berry, has already informed you. I would like to just throw you some more light on it. The green building concepts we'll be discussing, and the student chapter activities, as we have going to have the student chapter. So I would like to introduce few chapter activities which can be done, and finally the green education as well, which is much required for today's scenario. So coming to the definition, so what we mean by green building. So when we say about green building, we say it should conserve the natural resources, because every day we see a lot of depletion of our natural resources, and we are striving for it. There is so much of depletion in any kind of a natural resource which we take. So conserving natural resource is one of the important factor. Use less water, because water is the important thing, and which we are getting scared, and people buy the water. So we, every year in summer, most of the urban cities, we face issues with the water. So in the green building, it uses the less water. Optimizing the energy efficiency. Of course, energy is one of the important thing where it will also have impact on the environment, but at the same time we require it. So optimizing the energy efficiency is important. Then generate less waste, because we have to reduce the environmental pollution as well. So generates less waste, not just up to the India. Globally, we have an issue about it.
No, no.
And also, uh, I hope I am clear, right? There is no issue.
Yes, yes, you can proceed.
Yeah, sorry. So, of course, the health and safety is also important, because these days we are seeing current pandemic situation giving us also we have to give importance to the health perspective, the well-being of the occupants perspective. So in green building concepts, we are addressing these aspects also, so that the buildings are benefited. And when we say you are increasing the health of the people, productivity also will definitely increase. So these are the intangible benefits we see as well in the green buildings. So that's just as in a definition, we want to show you like what we mean by green building, how the benefits out of the green buildings we are achieving. And further, the green building movement in India. Of course, our chairman, the principal sir, as also has indicated about our journey, what we had from past 2 decades. So just to re-emphasize, IGBC has been is part of CIA, Confederation of Indian Industry, which is more than 125 years old organization, and IGBC is one of the division of the CIA. IGBC has been formed in 2001 with a vision of providing sustainable built environment for all. So when we say built environment, so we are not just restricted the building, it's going beyond the buildings. Wherever we stay, we learn, we transit. So all the places we want to emphasize them converting into green. And also another vision is India to be one of the global leader in sustainable built environment by 2025. And IGBC is also the founding member of World Green Building Council. World Green Building Council has about 70 plus councils which are across the globe. And we are glad that IGBC is one of the founding member of World GBC. And our Deputy Director General is on board of WGBC, who has been actively representing the country globally on how the green building movement happening in the country. So this is how our journey has started. So this is the first green building, our own secretariat, the IGBC secretariat in Hyderabad, where we call it a CI Shohraji Godrej Green Business Center. In 2003, it has been certified, and this is where the Indian green building movement started. CI being the industry association, so they work towards the development of various sectors in the country, and building sector being one of the important component in terms of the country's growth and GDP, and also which will also has impact on the environment. So CI has taken initiative that we should bring green buildings to the concepts to the country. Of course, this is not new to India. As Mr. Berry has clearly indicated, we are just re-emphasizing the ethos which we have practiced earlier in our ancient buildings. We are just getting them back. So before starting the movement, we thought we should practice it. So there is a saying, before we preach, we have to practice. That is how this building has come up. And that time, this was the first building in the country and outside the United States which got the green building certification. And as I said, the green building movement, we started with 2001. In 2001, we started with 20,000 square feet building, our own building. Right now, we are about 5,900 projects, which is about 7.5 billion square feet, which makes India on the top 5 in terms of the green building footprint. So still it's going on. So how we have achieved? Since the demand was increasing, there was more awareness, and IGBC is the only council to have 26 rating systems. Rating systems are nothing but the green building guidelines for the different building sectors we launch, where the projects can refer to these guidelines and they can construct their buildings, not only construct, even in the maintenance, the operation and maintenance of the buildings also, how to maintain in a sustainable way. These guidelines given a reference to them. So we have about 26 rating systems cutting across various sectors in terms of commercial, where all your commercial buildings, offices, IT buildings can be referring to these projects. We have residential rating systems for the homes, existing and the new rating systems as well. And we have for the schools, the hospitals, even the transit in terms of the railway stations, metro stations, the factories. So all kind of the places where we live, work, play, transit, or the workshop. So all the places we would like to transit them into the green buildings. So coming to the IGBC services, we developed the standards. So as I've indicated in the earlier slide, we have developed about 26 rating systems. So we developed the standards, and still there are many more. Other rating systems are also in pipeline. We do the certification, being the green building certification body. The projects whichever is going green, we certify them. So this is a recognition to them, and this is a tool for them to assess, okay, this is what I have done and how I can maintain further. So certification is one of the USP projects also use as in terms of marketing their project, and they feel pride about getting the certification level. And as being the part of CI, which is an industry body, and IGBC also has membership activities. So many members from the industries and also the stakeholders be part of our council, and they get into network the lot of information about this sector. And we do green education, also one of the service, which we'll explain in detail later. And we do training programs. We do a lot of training programs, awareness sessions for the professional students, and various level on different aspects of the green buildings. And yes, we do have IGBC accredited professional exam, which is again recognition for the green building professionals who can consultate or who can facilitate the projects going green. We do the product certification as well. As the demand increased, people are looking for the products also certified as green. So we have division of green product certification. And finally, we do a lot of publications as well. So that's about the council movement and brief introduction about the IGBC. Coming to the green concepts. So because today, as we are entering into the student chapter, and you all should be definitely already aware about green buildings, I would like to just give as a holistic approach what we are taking in terms of the green buildings. So these are the concepts we cover as part of the green buildings. First thing we cover about site, because you have a site for the site planning and the how you maintain your site. Then we talk about water, which is important natural resource. We have about materials, energy, and indoor air quality, which is also important. So basically, these are the five concepts which we and under each concept we have detailed aspects we would be covering on each of them. Now, coming to the sites, what we see, what is a present challenge? We see all the cities becoming the concrete jungle. Wherever we go, we see completely they are the concrete jungles and the buildings only. So what's happening by this? So first thing we see, there is less of biodiversity. We all agree that if we go to our villages, or many of us, like your the principals or the lecturers, everybody agree that when we were younger, we used to see the house sparrows, the pigeons, the crows around us. But right now, in current urban cities, we don't see any kind of the butterflies or the beautiful birds around us. So what we are losing the biodiversity or the ecology. Sorry, thank you for that. So in terms of the heat islands, see, if you go to, you all again experience this challenge. If you go to the park or if you go to the villages or rural areas, you'll feel cooler. You'll feel happy also, right? To go to the village, see the beautiful greenery and feel cooler. But in our, again, in the cities, especially in Bangalore also, which we used to call as a green city, which was the pride for Bangaloreans. But right now we are depleting that greenery. We are very worried about, we see a lot of pollution everywhere and more heat as well coming. So whatever the heat you are seeing in this graphic, so the rural areas where there is a lot of vegetation, the microclimate temperatures are maintained because the vegetations absorb the heat and they don't emit back to the environment. So you will feel cooler in the rural areas. But in the urban islands, you see a lot of building materials absorb this heat and they emit heat back to the environment. And there is a lot of heat islands formed in the urban cities. So you will feel more hot in these cities rather than in the this is the reason we see that differentiation. So there is an urban highlight. So this is what are the challenges we are seeing. So to overcome this, in as part of the green building concepts, we encourage greenery. There should be more vegetation is encouraged in green building concepts so that you can attract lot of habitat and also you can maintain microclimate temperature. So this is our CI building where the IGBC secretariat is there. You can see in this bird's eye perspective so much of greenery around us. When this is over about 5 acres land, only 2 acres have been disturbed and completely 3 acres area we have kept undisturbed. So whatever the habitat is there, it can be retained in our side. And we feel pride to say that more than 30 variety of birds flow in our site, being in center of the IT hub of the Hyderabad, where it is in high-tech city. So Hyderabad also has become, besides biryani and pearls, we have become famous for the IT hub as well. So in the high-tech city, in the heart of this IT parks where we have, you can see around this building, we attract about 30 variety of birds and even the butterflies. We do have butterfly garden also. So we are attracting the habitat, maintaining that biodiversity within the urban city and also reducing the microclimate temperatures. So this is addressed as part of all the site planning. And also, as I said, heat islands, it's not restricted to the ground area because of lot of innovations have come up. So the greenery is going beyond. If you don't have place, of course, we have place in our side. That's why we could able to plant. But if you don't have space, so there is no restriction now. You can go greenery over the roof, over the vertical walls as well. So the greenery is encouraged. The habitat can be attracted, and also at the same time, they will be aesthetically pleasing also in your site. So it's not just somewhere. And over the roof, even on the roof, it is not restricted now, but the many green roofs are coming. And one of the residential area, in fact, since they have less space on the ground, they have created green roof as well as the jogging tracks over their roof, where they can create the physical activity space and as well as the greenery to reduce the heat islands on their roof area. And to explain on the heat islands, because as I said, materials absorb the heat. So you can see this is one of the project in Mumbai where the picture has been put in the simulation mode. So you can see the simulation image. Wherever the greenery is there, you see the green spaces are the one where there is a less heat absorption. And the paved areas are the you can see as the red spots where they're absorbing the lot of heat. So what's happening? By this, you can clearly see that heat absorption to the roof through greenery is reducing. So from heat absorption through roof is decreasing, your heat loads inside the building also gets reduced. So it helps on the both the way, reducing the heat island in your microclimate temperature and also reducing the heat getting inside your building, which will increase the load of your air conditioners. So this is how we are trying to address the challenges over the site planning. And not only green roofs, because of this green building movement, there is a change in the way we see in the roof area. Earlier days, if we are seen 1.5 decade before, the roof used to be covered, especially the commercial buildings. They used to cover with the only the utilities, your service area, whatever the air conditioners are there. The compressors used to be there, but right now the roofs are converted into green roofs, and also they are trying to have the solar panels, which is an alternative energy sources. So there is a complete change in the way people see and they use the roofs as well. And also there are few projects where they are growing organic gardening on the roof, so they get their vegetables as well on the roof. So there is lot of things we have to just open up and see how we can overcome the challenges which we are facing. So when we talk about next aspect in terms of the water, as I said, this is very important. And if you see current crisis all over the globally, only 3.7 of world's water resources are available and 17% of the world population. So whatever the water sources are available, it would serve only 17% of the world's population. So there is so much of depletion in this natural resource. And we see lot of depletion of the groundwater as well, because most of the cities, as I've mentioned earlier also, and we don't have enough groundwater, so everybody try to buy the water during summers. And also there is a stress in municipalities because of rapid urbanization, people moving to the urban cities, and they require a lot of demand on water, so there is a stress on municipalities also. So as there are challenges, we are trying to address through green building concepts how we can conserve the water in your building site. So we are going with the 3 R's, the famous R's in terms of the reduce, reuse, and recharge. Reduce. When I say reduce, first thing we should try to reduce whatever we are consuming. How we can reduce? The appliances which take water, especially in terms of the water plumbing fixtures like your water closets, your taps and all, we recommend you can go for the efficient fixtures. If I have to just brief you on a simple example, the conventionally this water closet tank would have 8 liters capacity. So whenever people use single flush water closet, they will flush at a time 8 liters. As per the international standards and the plumbing codes, the person would require 2 half flush and 1 full flush in a building, either it's in an office building or the college or anything. So instead of 8 into 3, if you use 3 times, 24 liters are gone. But in dual flush, for the half flush, only 3 liters are gone, and the full flush, 6 liters. So it's at a time, from 24 liters in the conventional closet, it brought down to 12 liters. 50% per person per fixture we are trying to reduce. So you can imagine if you go for the efficient water fixtures, how much savings you can get directly. So that is what is reduce we are recommending. And even in your taps, if you don't have, even you can fit this aerators, which reduces the water flow, and it will have the water consumption reduction. So that is first part of reduce. Then we say reuse. Okay, you have already used the water. Whatever water you have used and it is coming out, which is a wastewater, you can treat within your site through the various wastewater treatment technologies, and you can reuse them. So by both of these strategies, what we are trying to do, we are trying to reduce the stress on municipalities, because my potable water consumption is reducing. I am trying to reduce that challenge which municipalities are facing. And also, as in the site module, I have encouraged you should have a lot of vegetation. Then we should not forget that vegetation also absorbs a lot of water. So we encourage you can go for the native species plantation so that they absorb less water. And also you can go for the efficient irrigation systems like a drip or sprinkler irrigation systems, so they can reduce the water consumption by the your landscape areas. That's about the reuse and how you can reduce. Coming to the recharge, people neglect, and but is, which is very important, is this rainwater. Because what we do during the rainy season, whenever this rain comes, uh, uh, most of the cities in the country, 2 to 3 months we have good rains. So what we do, we don't care about them. The rainwater just flows onto the roads and it pollutes our natural water bodies. Since there is no recharging done, our groundwater also gets depleted. So what we recommend is, in green buildings, you recharge your whatever the rainwater is coming to your site by having the collection ponds. If you have good area, we this is the picture you see here is from our building, where we have 8 lakh liter capacity of the pond, where all the rainwater is collected. We say our building is, there is a zero discharge of water. All the rainwater is collected, we filter it, use for our gardening. Even the wastewater, we treat it and we reuse again for our irrigation requirements or the flushing purposes. And if you don't have enough area, you can go for the percolation pits, where the rainwater can be percolated well, and you can recharge your groundwater as well. So this, through this 3 R's approach, we are trying to reduce the water consumption in the buildings. And as I said, there are a lot of new technologies are coming. So in terms of the wastewater treatment, I would like to introduce you one of the new technology which we call as phytoremediation. So usually we see the STP, 90% of the projects, they use the mechanical way of sewage treatment plant where they treat the wastewater. So this is a new trend of treating the wastewater biologically. So the plants, these plants, they filter the water, and whatever the wastewater is coming, and the filtered water can be used. So we call them as a phytoremediation process. It's a natural system where the treatment is done through plants, and it was also low capital cost because there are no additional maintenance. The electricity is used, so there is a low capital cost, and also only the maintenance is pruning of these plants. So how we do is, this is what we have implemented in our own building, and it's running from 2014, and it's been successfully running for the past 5 to 6 years. So what we have is, to briefly explain on this, we have a septic tank where the solids get settled, and the gray water we pump through this plant we have. There are 2 levels of ponds we call as. First thing is on a filtration pond, then is a polishing pond. So in this filtration pond, we have a different kind of wetland plants. Generally, in the photosynthesis process, which is done by the plants, they leave the oxygen through their leaves itself. But these are the specific kind of the wetland plants where they leave the oxygen through their roots. In mechanical process, what happens? They artificially induce oxygen, so the aeration process happens, and they treat the wastewater. In this phytoremediation, when the wastewater is flowed through the roots of these plants, because of oxygen presence, they treat it, and the further it's filtered. And next level we call it polishing, where the further polishing is done of this wastewater. We collect in the underground sun and we reuse for our gardening. So it's a simple biological process, but it's scientifically proven, because there is a certain level of aggregates are used and different levels of plants, because not all kind of aggregates or all kind of plants can be used. So these are scientifically proven one and designed according to what is the contaminants presence in the wastewater. Accordingly, they choose the plants and they treat it. So there is no operational cost, only pruning of these plants. And another important thing is, whenever people visit our building, we do have a lot of visitors visiting, coming to our site, and we see they doesn't feel this is a wastewater treatment plant. If we ask them, they see, I see some garden. So it's got integrated part of our garden. And when I see there is no they feel like in a garden, there is no smell is also coming. That would make it more efficient. So this is what, as a new technology, we would like to emphasize on. So next module, I would like to emphasize on energy, because energy is the one which has lot of impact on the environment, because we use lot of air conditioners. Because of that, there is a lot of electricity consumption. So when there is a lot of electricity consumption, both in terms of natural resource consumption, coal, water, thermal plants, whatever we have generated, that is affecting. And also there is a lot of the emissions of gases, the ozone layer is formed. So 35 to 40% of the energy consumption in the country is consumed by the buildings. Sorry. And there is, most of the time, people feel hesitated to have initial investment. This is one of these favorite questions we get with most of the people when we say about green buildings. Does green buildings cost more? So people have that constraint just to think about whether whatever I'm putting more cost initially, is it necessary? So please remember that whatever the initial cost you're putting, it's only minimal. But if you see overall life cycle of it, you're going to get a lot of benefit of it. So that is what we are trying to see. So in terms of energy efficiency in the green building concepts, we are trying to encourage through various aspects, even from the design stage. So energy can be conserved if you have good design as well. So you can go for the good envelope which has an when I say good envelope, so if you're whatever the exterior materials you're choosing, if they reduce the heat coming inside your building, then definitely your heat loads inside your building will reduce. Your orientation of building, being civil engineers and being in part of the you will also take care of a lot of construction activities. So even the orientation of the buildings, the way the openings are placed inside of the building, will also have impact on reducing the energy consumption. So we recommend all kind of different aspects. What are the kind of materials you can choose to reduce your building loads, heat loads, and also what kind of orientation, how much openings you should keep, your window to wall ratio. All these standards also we refer. There are international and national standards IGBC generally refer as part of guidelines as well. So in terms of energy, we have ECBC code, which is getting mandated in most of the cities in the country. So we recommend ECBC baselines and we go for the efficient ones. Of course, we recommend on-site and off-site renewable energy systems, the building automation systems, so that they can be regularly monitored and maintained well. So as I said, we recommend high performance envelope, good envelope. So whenever you have good insulating walls, you can see these cavity walls, they will act as a heat barrier. So insulation as well. So they'll reduce the heat coming inside your building. And coming to in terms of the glass, we glass, there is a lot of debate. People talk about whether glass absorbs a lot of heat, why people are encouraging glass. But again, if we see with new innovations have come, there are glass with very good U values and SSGC values are coming, where it will not allow the heat to come in. This is in our building only, where we have used double layered glass. There are two layers of glass filled with inert gases. So they will not allow the heat penetrating from this glass. So there are a lot of new innovations in glass also, where it can reduce heat coming inside your building, but at the same time the daylight which we require is coming through this building. So we recommend efficient envelope to be chosen. Even the roof can be insulated properly. So wherever there is a heat penetration, we recommend you can have the uh, good materials usage. When I said orientation, so because India being the tropical country, mostly the south and western part of the sites, they absorb a lot of heat. So we recommend less openings should be provided on that side. There should be more openings on the north or east side where there is less heat. So such kind of an guidelines we recommend as part of the envelope. And which we did differently is in the green buildings earlier. If you take in terms of the efficient systems, as we spoke in the water efficient water fixtures, even in energy there are efficient fixtures now. So earlier, the one tonnage, generally in your split AC houses also at home, we talk about tonnage, right? 1 TR, 2 TR ACs and all. So earlier days, the one tonnage of the air conditioning system used to cool only 150 square foot of area, 150 square foot of room. But right now, because of the green building movement and lot of awareness and new innovations have come, the 1 TR, same 1 TR, the people are able to air condition up to 600 SFT. So you can see how much change they got. So with less consumption of your energy, so what it's showing, it's just with 1 TR, you're able to cool more space. So your energy consumption is reducing. So high efficient chillers, like earlier we call chiller performance COP in generally in the HVAC systems whenever they're choosing. Earlier the COP of the systems, they used to be 3.54 and all, but right now they are available at 6.5. COP is available where they can efficiently cool the building at the same time reduce the energy consumption also. Daylighting, another important aspect in energy, because next to the air conditioning, lighting are the one which consume lot of energy. So we recommend you can have lot of daylight, because again India is rich where we get good sun and we get lot of daylight. So we can use this daylight maximum level and again reduce the energy consumption through the artificial lighting. And of course, as I said, alternative energy sources, we there is again the new trends have come in the country. People are not restricting to the rooftop solar panels or the windmills. There are building integrated photovoltaics available now, where all, even on the building facades, they can install this BIPVs and they can generate the power. And to further, now there is another new technology has come where the solar panels are bifacial solar panels. This have been last year we have implemented this in our own building, and we have converted our building to the net zero building as well. So this the panels, not only from top of these the panel, even the down part. So first thing you can see what we did, our roof have been painted with high SRA. SRA solar reflective index, which will reflect the heat, which will not absorb. So we have used that paint. So through this gaps of the panels, whatever the heat is getting penetrated, the this roof will reflect back, and reflected heat will be absorbed by this underneath solar panel as well, and they will generate the electricity. So not just the top part, even the down part can generate the power. So 20 to 30%, there is an, again the design elements have to be followed. There should be elevation of 1.5 meters, so that it can be properly capture the heat and reflect it and again generate it. We have almost installed about 130 kilowatt of solar panels right now, and completely our right now our building has become the net zero building. So whatever we are using has been again generated back to the grid. Because of this lockdown, in fact, yesterday also we had an internal team meeting, and our team was indicating that we were generating about whatever the power we are generating completely we are giving to grid, because there is no operations in the office. So you can see there is again you're reducing the demand on the whatever the electricity you're taking, again reducing the demand on the electricity generation and also the depletion of natural resources. So this is what globally people are looking. People are actually not restricting to I should have 20% savings or 30% savings. Right now people are looking, I should become net zero energy, net zero water. So whatever I'm going to consume, I should give back to my environment. So that's how people are working towards. So that's in terms of energy. And coming to the fourth module in terms of the materials. In terms of materials, what the challenges we see? There is a lot of waste in the landfills. Materials generally they generate waste, right? So there is a lot of landfills, and because of that, the challenge is happening in terms of environment pollution, and because of materials. So, and we are using so many materials, right? So, whatever I spoke in terms of the building, you have to choose. Obviously, there are a lot of new innovations, and you're using building materials means at the same time, the inline message from that is you're also depleting the natural resources. So, through our green building concepts, again, we are trying to reduce this impact on the natural raw materials which are getting depleted, and also try to reduce the pollution from the landfills. We are again addressing this through by the 3R approach: reduce, reuse, and recycle. So these are the sustainable building materials we encourage. The first thing we talk about building reuse. So a lot of most of the buildings, whenever they go for renovation or they would like to go for the refurbishment and all, the conventional way is they completely demolish the buildings and they go for new buildings. By this, what happens? You're complete. There is a lot of construction waste generated because of the demolition waste is generated, and again you're using a lot of new resources. So what we recommend is you can analyze the building whatever you want to go for renovation at first level, and see if it is structurally good, and if you can go for the uh, use certain elements back, and so that you'll reduce the construction waste completely by the demolition, and also reduce whatever the new materials you want to get into b- renovating this building. So we recommend building reuse as one of the aspect. Then we talk about the salvaged materials. So whatever the materials which are or have been already used in some other site, which can be again you got into your project, you can do the repairs or refurbish it, and if you can reuse them, then they are called as salvaged material. Examples like the railway sleepers. There is a lot of railway sleepers waste is generated in railways workshops. So a lot of projects, what we see them is they're getting those railway sleepers, they're using in external facades or different way where we can use the salvage materials. And I think nowadays a lot of people are might you've been commonly seeing the your tires, the waste tires they're trying to get and use as a garden elements or in toddler areas as a swings and all. So that is also a salvage material. So by this again we are trying to reducing the new virgin materials to be used. You are extending the life of these material and reducing the landfills which these are generally thrown. Third thing is about recycled content. Generally, in the nowadays in the material, any material manufacturing production, they're using certain waste product also, not just raw materials. That waste product is nothing but recycled content. Just to give you example, the fly ash brick, which is commonly used these days. So fly ash is a lot of waste which is generated in the thermal plants where the power is generated. So that fly ash is used as a product in making this material. In this, there are a lot of benefits. First thing, you're reducing the landfill from that fly ash. Second thing, instead of using the clay brick, which is a natural raw material, instead of using that clay, I'm using the waste product. So I'm extending life of it, reducing the landfills, and also at the same time using the my purpose of waste the material which I need for my building construction. So we recommend such recycled content materials can be used in your building. Then about the local materials. So we encourage you can choose the local materials rather than the far away the exported materials, because they lot of transportation and they again emit a lot of environment pollution. So we recommend local materials to be chosen, and also this will help out in improving the local economy. So we encourage local materials. Last but not the least, wood-based materials. We recommend go for the composite wood rather than the pure wood, because the pure wood like teak wood and rose wood, that these trees to grow, they would take 25 to 30 years minimum, so that you can harvest and use as a wooden logs. But there are certain composite wood materials like MDF, plywoods, which are used, and rapidly renewable products like bamboo, and also the sugarcane bagasse based and eucalyptus based wood materials we encourage, so that they'll not have impact on the deforestation. So in terms of waste, there are two waste levels we do during construction. We recommend you can segregate the waste. You can see in these pictures where the projects have segregated whatever waste generated separately. So these segregated waste either they reuse within the building, or they send for the recycling. So by this we reduce the landfills. And at the post construction, at when the occupancy is there, we recommend you should have proper segregation of waste in your site first. So the dry waste, wet waste, everything is segregated properly, and you can send them for the recycling purposes. So in terms of the organic waste, you can treat within your site. You can have the compost, good compost for your vegetation area, but other things you can send for recycling. So the new innovations are like there is an automated solid waste management system where individually on each floor level they'll have opening. So this through when you throw this waste, so through this chutes the waste come down and they get collected in the centralized area. So it will be easy for sending to the recycling. So this is what's happening in terms of waste management. So the last module we are addressing, which is important, as we said, we are building for people. So we should make it more comfortable. We see a lot of impact on air quality in Delhi, in Bangalore, Hyderabad, wherever we see, we talk about air quality problem. So how we are addressing this air quality and also health impacts. So we are addressing air quality through fresh air ventilation. So we recommend a lot of fresh air to be coming to your site, to your building. In fact, so when you take more fresh air, people will be more enthusiastic, because if there is less of fresh air, people will feel headache, nausea and all, and they'll feel lethargic. So we recommend there should be proper cross ventilation and fresh air inside the building. And we recommend even the interior elements, whatever you are choosing, should have low VOCs. Like when I said interior elements like paints, coatings, adhesives, all they should have low VOC, volatile organic compounds, because when they are low, you'll not have impact on the human health. Maybe you would have observed, if it's newly painted, if it's smelling very badly and you feel allergic to that, that means that paint had a lot of VOC content. So we recommend low VOC interior materials to be used, so that you'll reduce impact on the human health. And also for air quality, improving the, whenever we are saying fresh air should be taken, because again outdoor air is also having a lot of pollutants. So we recommend you can have good filters in your HVAC system, so that the filtered fresh air can be taken and it can improve the productivity. And also the another important factor is we recommend lot of daylight and outdoor views, because it's an again a survey. People will be more productive when they work on the natural light rather than on the artificial light. And whenever they feel stressed, if you have outdoor views to be open environment, they can just look around and they'll feel de-stressed. So we recommend daylight and outdoor views also as part of the green buildings. So CO2 sensors is one of the important aspect we encourage as part of the fresh air in the buildings. So if generally in malls or theaters, because there is more occupancy, sometimes what happens, you will feel after some time nausea or headache, because there is high CO2 emission and less fresh air. So we recommend CO2 sensors can be installed in the buildings with high occupancy. So CO2 levels can be regularly monitored, so that fresh air is purged properly and they'll not feel uncomfortable. So this is the CO2 monitoring generally when they do. They install CO2 sensors. So because of occupancy, whenever the CO2 levels increase, they'll give an alarm to building automation system. So they'll allow more fresh air coming inside the building and it can be maintained. So generally, as per the standard, it should, if you compare outside and inside CO2, it should not be more than 530 ppm pressure. If it is more, it is a bad design, and if it is a good, you can see in the second picture where it's a good ventilated building. So that's about the overall aspects. I know if I get into more deeper, these are the vast subjects. I've just given you the insight on what are the green building concepts we are coming to. So coming to the student chapter we have launched today at Atria Institute of Technology. What being students you can do that. So students, you can be part of our various IGBC awareness programs we conduct, not only one subject. In fact, we can get deeper into each subject we spoke today. I can speak in depth about phytoremediation, the wastewater treatment. I can speak in depth about the how to improve health and comfort of the people. So there are a lot of lectures we do, different subjects we do, so we can be part of this awareness programs. You can do a part of initiative forums. You can create and Bangalore is one of the chapter where it is very active, and a lot of chapters they do these various initiatives. So they do a lot of walkathons, the rallies, the plant saplings. So this you can take part of this initiatives. And yes, every year the third week of September we celebrate World Green Building Week, and here today we are launching exactly on time where it's in September. So of course the poster is different year, but this year again on third week of September we celebrate World Green Building Week, and we encourage all of you to be part of this World Green Building Week celebrations. And you can see these are the few pictures. This is from Bangalore only, where they did a lot of walkathons. You can see Mr. Syed Beri as well, part of this walkathon in Bangalore. So you can do many other activities also, part of World Green Building Week. And yes, of course, you can participate in our flagship event, Green Building Congress. This time our event is happening virtually because of this pandemic situation. It's going to be conducted in October. So we invite you all to be part of Green Building Congress as well. And of course, the initiate the industry academia interactions. Now since the student chapters have launched, we can regularly do the interaction with your student coordinators. We can have more, we can understand what are your issues, how we can help out, and we can take your research or whatever the knowledge you can give us. So it can be mutual cooperation. So the last thing I would like to highlight is about the green education, the service, which is important for you people. So this is the service launched by IGBC to with a vision of to have largest training professionals in India. So that with that vision we have started, and also the core purpose is to have the linkage between the industry and academia. So the key benefits of green education is the students right now they're going to get the accredited as IGBC AP associate. They get exposure to various concepts and new trends are coming. Because whenever I say the concepts, they are not just up to those area. Always the new trends and technologies are coming, so you get exposure to that. So when these things become normal, we can facilitate the site visit to the certified projects. You can get the practical exposure and also knowledge on the various rating systems we get. And so as part of green education, we are doing various certification courses as well. So first course, first type we are doing is tying up with the colleges, where we are giving a complete one semester course, 45 hours certification program, where we cover all the aspects which we have addressed today, and it can get into deeper. So many colleges are, in fact, we have recently signed an MOU with Vishweshwara Technology University from Karnataka, where a lot of VTU colleges are trying to use this as part of their curriculum as well. So they use they can take as part of the curriculum, or it can be one of the elective. We can offer this service. And what is the methodology? First, we tie up with the institute. We train the faculty who have been nominated from the institute, and along with the faculty, IGBC, both of them, we take different sessions and sessions to the students, and we run the course. And also there would be additional expert talks, webinars, site visits as part of the course. And finally, at the end of the course, students can take the online exam and they will be accredited as IGBC AP Associate. So they can use this certificate as one of their USP when they're going for their job research and all. And another type of thing we are doing is, due to current pandemic, people are not able to come in person. So we are also offering online courses. So every month we are running this course. This is exclusively for the final year students of architectural engineer and post graduation students. So this is a 10 days online course which we do every day between 4 to 6:30 evenings. We do through online. And again, all the key focus areas are addressed as part of this online course. So every month we run. So this month it's happening between 14 to 25th September. And students, whoever are interested, they can enroll for this course. So I would like to end with few of the things. First things, as being students, I would like to introduce you that first, you should be aware of the knowledge. You should acquire the knowledge on whatever you're getting. Understand what are the challenges in whatever the areas we are seeing. As we have seen in each of the aspects, there were challenges. We are coming out of solutions as well. So when you understand the challenges and solution, you come up with the passion out of it. And when you have passion, you will definitely meet the requirements. What is the need or requirement is there in the environment or at the society level, you will appreciate it and you will implement them. So when you do all this put together, you will become a great green professional. I would like to sum up saying that so green buildings are the new paradigm shift. There are a lot of new approaches, new technologies are coming. So when you all are being part of this, you will be feeling pride to be part of this green building movement. And it's not just a contribution to ourselves, it's contribution to society and the national and globally also. So thank you all. Thank you for your patience listening. For any further queries, I open to the platform, and my email ID is also indicated here. So you can feel free to write to me. So thank you all. And